Hey everyone, welcome back to Driple Studios. Today I will continue explaining how my pet system works. If you haven't seen my pet system tutorial, please check it out using the link in the description. Today we'll look into how the inventory works. Let's start with the simple stuff, the open and close buttons. So if I open up my start GUI and my inventory GUI, I'll find the open button. If I open up the script, the open button contains a local script that just sets the visibility of the background frame to whatever it currently isn't. So the background frame, let me close up all of these just here. So the background frame is the frame that contains everything. I won't go too much into what each GUI button is, like what the background frame actually is, because if you want to know that, just go check out the actual video. I'll assume that you know that sort of stuff. The close button, which is under background, if I open up this local script, it just sets the visibility of the background to false. We saw in the purchasing eggs explanation how the pets are added to the inventory with the template frame and replicated storage. Well, there's actually a local script inside of the pet template frame which runs code when the button is clicked. So when the button's clicked, which just covers the frame, so essentially when the frame is clicked, it checks to see if the number of children in the chosen frame is greater than 0. If it is, that means that pets already exist in the chosen frame as the pet model is cloned into it as a child when selecting a pet. If this is the case, we need to destroy the clone, ready to put the new one in. We then set the text of the equip button based on whether or not the equip text is visible. If it is visible, we want the button on the chosen frame to display unequip and vice versa. Next, we get the pet object from invoking the select pet remote function, passing the name of the pet, the template frame, and the chosen frame. I'll get onto this function in just a second. If a pet object does exist, then we update the name and description of the text of the chosen frame to match that of the pet, and we set the description text to the boost that the pet delivers. Finally, we show the chosen frame. Now back in the pet handler script, let's close that up. We get all of our remote events and stuff up here, and the select pet remote function takes a name, template, and chosen frame and finds a pet model in the pet's model in server storage with the same name as the name passed in. It then updates a value which we create in leader stats named selected, which is an object value. The value is set to the pet template that was clicked. This is so that we can store the pet that was most recently selected. The two game pass buttons just do pretty much the same as our other game passes, so they will check to see if the user owns the game pass, and if they do, it will hide the buttons. Now in the chosen frame, when the equip button is clicked, we get the pet frame that is held inside of the selected pet value, and if the equip text is not visible on this frame, then we need to equip the pet. To do this, we will loop through each pet slot in the equipped folder, and we'll find the first value that is nil, i.e. the first slot that is free. We set the layout order to -i because this will be a number below 0, which will display this pet frame before the others in the grid layout. We then fire the equip pet remote event, passing the equipped folder, the equipped text, the button, and the name of the selected pet. Once the pet has been equipped on the server, we calculate the equipped slots and then set the equipped text to visible and update the equip button text and color. We do the exact same for unequipping pets, but we set the layout order to 0 and fire the unequipped pet remote event, passing the equip folder, the equip button, and the name of the selected pet. We also hide the equip text instead of showing it. Again, inside of the pet handler script, when the equip pet remote event is fired, we set an attribute named pet name to the name of the pet. We spawn the pet in the workspace by cloning the pet from server storage, assigning the assigned player value to the name of the player, and we'll update the name of the pet to represent what slot it is. We also enable the movement script, and we set the pet as a child of the player's character. This is just so we can organise where the pets are rather than having 100 pets in the workspace. Each player's pets will be in their own character, so it's easy to track where they are. Finally, we apply the boosts by looping through and checking for a match in the pet name, and if we've got a match in the pet name, we'll get the necessary boost and equip it. Now in the delete button, when we delete a pet, if the pet is equipped, so if the equip button text says unequip in other words, then we will just unequip the pet by firing the unequip remote event, And then we will fire the delete pet remote event, passing in the chosen frame and pet name. And we will remove the template from the pet frame by destroying the object stored to the selected pet frame, which will be the pet frame. Finally, we hide the chosen frame and update the pet count text. Now, when the unequip pet remote event is fired, we set the slot number that the pet was taking up to 0 to tell the game that the player no longer has a pet equipped in that slot. We then subtract the boost. The delete pet remote event will just destroy every child of the pet image inside the chosen frame so that there is no longer a pet being displayed on the chosen frame. And finally, in the grid sort local script, if the sort by name button was pressed, we create an empty table that will represent the children of all the pet frames. If the frame we are looking at is equipped, we will set the layout order to -1, otherwise we will add it to the table to be sorted. We sort the table using the following logic. If the name of item A is alphabetically lower than the name of item B, then we start with item A. If the sort by rarity button is pressed, then we will create an empty dictionary that will represent the pairs of name and rarity. We loop through each pet in the pet module and create a key in the dictionary with the name of the pet, and the value will be the rarity of the pet. Then we create an empty table that will represent the children of all the pet frames. If the frame we're looking at is equipped, we'll set the layout order to -1. Otherwise, we'll add it to the table to be sorted. We sort the table using the following logic. If the rarity of the item at key A is greater than the rarity of the item at key B, then we start with item A. And that's it for the inventory system. I know it is a lot to wrap your head around and a lot to take in, but the best way to understand it is not to hear me just yap about it, but actually watch the pet system video, then this video, and then go back to the pet system video and watch it again. If you've also followed the pet system video, as I'm trying to explain it, try and go through the code and read it line by line to see how it's all making sense. Because I'm not going to go through each script literally line by line. As you've noticed, I've just been sort of skimming over it. Because again, if I go through it line by line, it's going to get very boring, very not entertaining, and people are not going to be paying attention. Attention spans will be lost very quickly. So what I've been doing is just covering the basics, and the rest you can look at and try and piece together yourself. That's all part of programming, but hopefully you're starting to understand a bit more. Once you've seen the explanations, it should be more clear what is happening. In the next video, I will cover the data store system, and then we will go back to the new tutorials again. Rather than explanations, I can actually move on to something brand new. So thanks for watching this video. If you found it helpful, please leave a like and subscribe, as it would really help us out. And feel free to check out our Discord server. The link will be in the description, where we're trying to build a community of future game developers. You can ask for programming help there, help others, share your projects, or just chat there too. More information can be found in the description. Thank you and goodbye.